4,000, it's just going to sink like a stone. If the crypto stocks are a leading indicator, they are getting slaughtered, taking profits, selling. There was some worried people about the drop. Gold had almost hit 4,400, and they're talking about that big drop, and maybe it's going lower, which of course is what happens in a bull market. You get these violent sell-offs to scare people out. But the bottom line is gold's $4,000 an ounce. In fact, it closed the week almost right at $4,000 an ounce again.
In today's news recap, silver's been included in the U.S. critical minerals list. The U.S. Department of the Interior released a list of critical minerals, adding materials such as copper, silver, and metallurgical coal to the list, thereby increasing the risk that these materials may be included in future tariff policies. The market had anticipated the inclusion of copper and coal in the critical minerals list to some extent, but the inclusion of silver has sparked widespread concern. If tariffs are imposed on silver, its liquidity could face issues again, potentially causing significant volatility in silver prices. Suki Cooper, an analyst at Standard Chartered, stated that it remains unclear whether the U.S. will impose tariffs on silver, but listing silver is the first step in this process. On the other hand, the U.S. has included certain customs codes for silver in the tariff exemption list, which may mean that specific types of silver will not be affected by tariffs. Approximately 2/3 of silver supply relies on imports, while it is one of the key materials for electronics, solar panels, and electric vehicles. The inclusion of silver on the U.S. critical minerals list will further highlight its status as a strategic mineral, potentially signaling a paradigm shift in the supply and demand dynamics of silver and ultimately its market price. Previously, due to concerns about potential tariffs on silver, large volumes of silver were preemptively transported from international markets to New York warehouses, causing a liquidity squeeze in the London silver market. This became a key factor driving silver prices to record highs in early October. As supply in the London market has increased, silver prices have consolidated over the past few weeks. However, if tariffs prompt another wave of large-scale movements, silver prices will experience significant volatility once again. In addition, silver mining companies with extensive operations in the United States and its partner countries are poised to become the primary beneficiaries of this list. Beyond the impact of tariffs, these firms will also benefit from U.S. fiscal incentives, production subsidies, and streamlined approval processes for new projects, further reducing their operational costs and enhancing profitability. Some of the froth has been blown off in a much-needed correction, Rona O'Connell, an analyst at StoneX, said in a note. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, hype the video, and check goldsilverstacks.com to get the Stacker's Handbook, the ultimate guide to trade the gold-silver ratio and stack efficiently without relying on market commentators. Link in the pinned comment. Let's get back into the episode.
And I think gold is forming a nice base here at 4,000. Silver, it's not, at 50, but it ain't much below it. It's around $48 and change. I mean, it's holding pretty steady, very close to $50. It's not tanking back down to 40. So I think, again, this is another opportunity, just like when silver was around 30, and I was saying 30 is the new 20. 50 is really the new 30. I mean, yeah, you could buy it a little bit below, but for who knows how long. So buy yourself some physical gold and silver. The gold mining stocks, again, a lot of these stocks are now in bear markets. It is amazing how far off their highs most of these gold and silver mining stocks are, even though gold is almost 4,000, even though silver is almost 50. These stocks have lost almost all of their gains, since gold was, I think, 3,600, 3,700. Since silver was 40. A lot of these stocks are back down to where they were when silver was 40, even though it's 50. And they're just so scared because, well, it was 54, so it's going down. So what? It was 54 for like a day. I mean, if you took that 1 week out, we'd be at the highs, right? I mean, where we are right now is, a month ago, this would be record highs for gold and silver a month ago. Yet there's so much bearishness among investors. And there's not nearly enough bearishness among crypto investors. They're completely complacent. They're happy as clip. They're not worried at all that Bitcoin's going down. They think it's on sale. Hey, it's $100,000. It's on sale. On sale, you're buying nothing and you're paying $100,000. The sale is on gold and silver. And where the sale is whatever you would buy if you just sold your Bitcoin up here. But people don't want to sell it so much that they're going to borrow against it, where they're gonna sell it. It's just going to be sold out from under them at a much lower price than if they just sold it right now. So get your gold and silver, buy these mining stocks, and if you don't have any gold stocks, well, now's the time to incorporate them. You've got a gift horse pullback, a dip, a pretty big one, as an opportunity to buy. Yes, it wasn't a line in the sand where gold didn't go below 3,000, but it didn't go much below 3,000, and eventually it took off and then went above 4,000. I think we're doing the same thing now. I think we're forming a base right around 4,000, and before you know it, we'll be at 5,000. But meanwhile, a lot of investors aren't going to own gold for that ride because they're getting shaken out now because they're getting so nervous. The atmosphere and the attitude at the gold conference is the opposite, really, of the Bitcoin conference that I went to in May. Oh, and by the way, I am going to be going to the Bitcoin Binance blockchain conference, and this week, this is the first time since June that we've been below 100,000. Now, there was some buying. I think the entire crypto community is kind of circling the wagons here, trying to defend 100,000. And they were able to pop the market back up to around 104,000. But to me, this is a big bear market. I think once we really break maybe 98,000, 97, get some distance between Bitcoin and 100,000, it's just going to sink like a stone. If the crypto stocks are a leading indicator, they are getting slaughtered. Every stock that is any way related to crypto is way down. I mean, at least 40 or 50%, if not 60 or 70%. Even the leader of the pack, Strategy, hit a 52-week low this morning, and it was down 60% from its 52-week high. Now, it recovered. I think it closed down around 52% from that high. But this is the best stock, right? This is the poster boy for crypto companies, treasury company. And it's been cut in half in what's supposedly, the best environment ever for crypto, with the entire Trump administration behind crypto.
In today's news recap, gold stuck in a range as trade optimism and Fed signals cap upside. Gold has been stuck in a range for the past 5 days, struggling to regain momentum after falling around 10% from the record high of $4,381 reached in October. The yellow metal remains under pressure after 2 straight weeks of declines, with uncertainty over future U.S. interest rate cuts and easing trade tensions dulling its safe haven appeal. Bullion's weakness comes despite the Federal Reserve's 25 basis point rate cut last week. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comment that further cuts were not a foregone conclusion tempered investor optimism and lifted the dollar, weighing on gold. That cautious tone, echoed by several Fed officials, has seen traders scale back bets on another rate reduction in December, leaving gold struggling for direction. The situation in gold and silver has been the classic sell the news. As we pointed out in our channel right after major media covered the rally, it's been pretty much flat, which is great for stackers to buy more. For the same exact reason, I'd be very wary of citing any bankster faster promoting gold and silver now because they're the ones looking to take the other side of the trade. The outlook was further dampened by easing geopolitical tensions after U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping pledged to reduce trade barriers during last week's meeting in Busan. While the talks stopped short of a full trade deal, the framework for tariff reductions and increased Chinese imports of American goods helped calm markets and, in turn, capped demand for gold. Now, smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. And go to goldsilverstacks.com to get the Numismatics Handbook, the perfect guide for stackers who want to get active trading gold and silver coins instead of selling their gold and silver bullions for fiat. Enjoy the episode.
We can't let China win in crypto. I mean, China doesn't give a damn about winning in crypto, right? That's not even on their bingo card. You know, they'll let us have that market. What do they care? Who wants to lead the world in decentralized Ponzi schemes and pyramids, right? That's an American thing. The Chinese don't want any part of that. They want to invest their money productively. They want to make things that people actually need and that they want. They don't want to waste their resources on crypto. But if you look at these stocks, they are getting decimated, absolutely decimated. And they're a leading indicator of what's going to happen in the tokens themselves. She said she just found out that people prefer using stable coins to Bitcoin. Like, didn't she know that? Who the hell uses Bitcoin? She's talking about in transactions. Yes, of course they prefer stable coins. They're much easier to use than Bitcoin. So because she just discovered that people aren't really using Bitcoin, she doesn't think it's going to go up quite as much. So it's only going to go up 12x as opposed to 15x. Well, it's actually going down. It's going a lot lower. And all of this leverage that's being built up beneath the market is one of the reasons that this next decline is going to be horrific. And I think, once they throw in the towel around this 100,000 level, it's going to implode. And, all this, of course, is not going to reflect well on the Trump administration, given the fact that they've hitched their wagon to Bitcoin. And so as Bitcoin fails, and the whole Trump family is in this business, it's just going to be another negative on Trump. Meanwhile, if you look at what's been going on in the economy, right, the negatives are really coming to the surface, despite the fact, and again, Donald Trump on the 60 Minutes interview talked about how the U.S. economy is the strongest it's ever been, and it was the weakest it's ever been a year ago when Biden was president, and it went from the worst economy to the best economy, and it's the hottest economy in the world. And everybody agrees that it's the hottest economy in the world. They said the U.S. economy was dead last year, and now it's alive and thriving because Trump is president. Well, if you look at the actual economic data, it belies all of that bragging that's being done by Trump. We got the University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers that just came out, and not only were they much lower than expected at 50.3, a 6.2% decline from the prior month. And it's about 30% lower than it was a year ago when, I guess when Trump first got elected. Now he's been president for about a year, although he hasn't been president for a year, but it was a year ago that he got elected. But this is the second lowest level for consumer confidence going back to 1978, second lowest. So according to Trump, we've got the greatest economy ever. Yet the people living in that great economy are almost as pessimistic as they've ever been about the economy. And the only time that consumers were this worried about the economy between now and 1978 was in June of 2022. And that was inflation when it had peaked, around 9%. It was at a 40-year high. And that's the last time consumers were as worried. Yet on that 60 Minutes interview, Donald Trump claimed that inflation is gone. He's killed inflation. There's no more inflation. He thinks it's lower than 2%, even though it's higher. So he's already claiming victory on destroying inflation. When one of the reasons that people are so pessimistic is prices are rising. That's one of the main reasons. And their outlook for prices is that they're going to continue to rise.
What do you think of today's show? Do you believe that the current gold and silver sell-off is some sort of coordinated attack against the metals, or on the contrary, is just big players taking profits after an abnormal rally? Post in the comment section your plan for gold and silver, and share with the stackers if you are taking any profits after the mega rally we experienced this year so far. Now, peep this video right here because it's a perfect fit for you, and I'll see you on the other side.